Hey everybody, it's Daddy1424 TMPG, and today we're going to be taking a look at Resistance Burning Skies multiplayer. But before we dive into that, I just want to remind you guys to like, if you can see my thumb there, and subscribe, and leave some comments below, down that way. Thank you very much for your ongoing support. If you've had a chance or you haven't had a chance, make sure to check out my unboxing video for Resistance Burning Skies, as well as my initial thoughts / review. But let's jump into this here and talk about the multiplayer. So for those of you unaware, Nihilistic was having some issues with their multiplayer. People weren't able to find a match. If you saw my other video, you would know that already. And people weren't able to get online. So I went to myresistance.net and they have released a patch for it. What you simply do is you would load up the application. So I'll just close this down here. You'll hit the refresh button, so this one right here if you can see it, and then you'll get a download. You'll download it, close the application, reopen the application, and it will install it. Once you've done that, and it does seem like quite a bit of work, you'll be able to get into the multiplayer matches. Now, since then, there has been some other issues, but we'll talk about that in a minute. First thing I want to do is talk about the menu actually here. So we'll just go over, so you have your options, your leaderboards, your stats, your edit loadout, and your matchmaking. So leaderboards and options are pretty straightforward. So we'll just take a look at stats. You can see obviously it keeps track of everything. I have played a couple matches, got slotted the first couple. My game kept frozen and whatnot. So, it wasn't too much of a fair assessment there. In any case scenario, you can go to edit loadout and you can choose to obviously upgrade or choose your weapon and whatnot, and then upgrades for each weapon. So you'll see in this case there are 2 available slots that have both upgrades applied to that weapon. So for example, you can change your weapon from your carbine to your bullseye, your hunter, your mule, your 6-eye, your auger, your mauler, and your swarm. And then obviously they get unlocked at different levels and whatnot, and you can change the upgrade pertaining to each weapon. And you can see that as I'm using the bullseye, there are bullseye different selected upgrades and whatnot, and that will pertain to as well if you had a carbine, for example. You can also change your upgrade, your second upgrade, so upgrade B for that same weapon as well, so having 2 upgrades to each weapon. And then change your grenade. You'd have to obviously purchase if you want, for example, the hedgehog, which I have done that because I love it. Now, one of the downsides I've noticed is that you can't actually edit your character. You can rename your loadout, which is, I guess, standard. It sucks that you can't edit your character. They do have human and chimera, but I guess, that's kind of resistance and whatnot. So we'll jump out of this. We'll try and jump into an actual match, and we'll talk about some of the shortcomings and positives that this game has to offer. So the first thing is there are different matches. There are the team deathmatch, there is a death match, and then, of course, survival, which is humans being outnumbering chimera. Killed humans are converted into that chimera team, and at least 1 human team member must stay alive until time runs out. So it adds for a lot of fun. I'm just going to select any here, simply because I want to get into a match. There's been a lot of issues here since the releasing the patch. There has been some other issues that have been known to people. What has been happening is you'll be able to play for a little bit. It actually happened to me, and then you'll get actually kicked out. And once you try and come back in, you'll get basically your burning skull symbol, and it will just sit there and load and load and load and load and load. So people have been in uproars. You go to myresistance.net, you can get some more information. People saying, first it wasn't available pre-launch. Now you put a patch out. It still hasn't fixed all the issues. But at the end of the day, guys, you got to cut them a little bit of a slack. It's the first FPS for a handheld, the first multiplayer FPS for a handheld, and it's a learning curve. And to start with the positives, or what this does, is first thing it does is it sets the standard. It really shows that FPS is capable on a handheld. Not only that as an FPS is capable, but that as well, the multiplayer is capable on a handheld as well. As for some of the negatives, they could definitely use to add some more maps, maybe some more game modes and whatnot. Now, I'm going to try and play this to the best of my abilities. It's hard to play it through a tripod and a camera, but I will do my best. I apologize. I hope you can see it clearly. Obviously, the camera has to focus and whatnot, and I'm looking through the camera right now, so even more awkward. So some of the other negatives I had, you can see that I went into actually survivor mode. One of the negatives I had as well was the fact that when the match ends, it simply just ends, and you'll be in a screen that it seems like you froze. Now, don't worry, you didn't actually freeze. What actually happened there was that it's just basically loading out the game. Oh, but is that a guy? Oh, see, this is what happens too. Is what you'll notice will happen is when a character pauses, or sometimes they'll just freeze up, and sometimes you won't even be able to kill them. Now, I think the not being able to kill them comes from when a character pauses. It puts them in a state where essentially they can't be killed, which is kind of good and bad. It's not true multiplayer. We all know that when you start a multiplayer game, if you pause it and you get killed, that's your own fault. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's kind of good too as well, because people have to do something else and they want to pause. They can actually do that with not having to worry about, you know, getting killed 30 times. So it's both a positive and a negative. Besides that, there are still a couple issues here and there, some clipping issues. The frames per second seem to run pretty smooth, and, you know, graphically it's decent. The controls feel quite natural, and I think that's pretty evident via the single player campaign as well as the multiplayer. One of the other things I really liked about this was having the you know, only 8 players in a match. It forces the players to actually move around trying to find the teammates, like the example we're doing right now. And that prevents things like camping and poaching and whatnot that you're going to get from certain people, like you do in pretty much most games. So it forces the players to get out there and actually play the game. However, I would still love to see, you know, implementation of maybe 16 players, more maps, more weapons, character mark customization. But really and truly, it's a beginning for Nihilistic. It's a beginning for FPSs, for the PS Vita. So at the end of the day, you know, you can only expect so much. Give them some time. I'm sure we'll have some patches. I'm sure we'll even have some DLCs added in there. It's a good start nonetheless. I wish these issues weren't there. Unfortunately, they were. I'm hopefully going to try and play this whole match through. It depends on how long it takes us to find these chimeras, or the chimeras to kill us. So this video might be a little bit longer. If it is, I apologize. So what do you guys think about the game so far? I mean, you guys probably have had an opportunity to pick it up and play it, single player and multiplayer as well. I'm going to see if I can demonstrate the secondary fire and what it looks like on this. There you go. You can see how the secondary fire works pretty decent. And see, it has these in-game things too, like for example, you just saw there come up the Perseverance, where you get extra points and XPs for doing certain things, as well as when you level up, you'll get things like they call it infections, I believe it is. See, this is one guy, I think he paused. And what that is, the infection is essentially it's like an added bonus, so it'll make your character, you know, 2 times the XP for, you know, 4 hours or whatnot. I just got killed, which means I became a chimera. So you can press select, and you'll see the score sheet will come up there, and it will tell you, you know, your kills 2-to-1, your play time, so your time alive, my apologies, your assists, and all that good stuff. So now I'm Chimerian, and I got to go kill. There's 1 human left on the map, so that's perfect. This shouldn't last on too long. I find the Survivor mode to be the funnest of all the matches, because if you're a human and you're the one guy left and you're getting swarmed by 6 other chimeras or 7 other chimeras, it's quite fun. Oh, that guy got me. I didn't see him there. I should have had that. As well, you know, I believe you can use your headset for the chat during the game, which is obviously useful. I actually haven't done it myself. I know that obviously, you'll see there, it just froze, for example. That is actually the ending of the match. That is not the game frozen. You'll see how the bottom here, it all X'd out all these skulls. So that means the last human was killed. But this is what's really annoying, is because if you don't know this and this happens to you in the middle of the match, you're going, what the hell just happened? My game just froze. And my initial reaction was to, you know, hit the home button and close on the application. But you actually have to wait and give it some time. So there's definitely some issues. I hope we get some further patches for that. And there you go. See, you can see so the match just ended out. I had 2 kills, 1 assist, and 2 deaths. So it wasn't great, but I mean, again, it's hard to play with the tripod over your shoulder. It's not a demonstration of skill. This is more a demonstration of the actual multiplayer. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. You know, be sure to check out my next video I'll have for you guys coming. Should be Gravity Rush or Gravity Days, whatever they're calling it. And I know it has 2 different titles. Thank you very much for your ongoing support. Remember to subscribe and like usual. I'm going to put the PS Vita down. If you haven't already, pick up your trigger grip. It works phenomenal wonders with the PS Vita, and especially with the multiplayer. That's also a great accessory. You can check my video out on that. Like usual, Daddy1424. You see all the resistance goodie. Booyah! And let's flip it out and end it the only way I know how to. Daddy1424. Like usual, guys. Peace. Love.